Hey everyone, it's Michael and
Alex
and
Ruben
from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, bringing you Friday.
Thank God it's Friday, although I am working tomorrow, so one more day.
And relatively on time.
Relatively on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing well.
Actually, the coffee's made it 10 minutes before we did, so...
Oh, it's terrible. I've got a sneeze stuck. I'm dying to sneeze and the flaming thing won't come. So if I'm looking slightly distracted, it's because I'm trying to sneeze.
Yeah, we've got that'll be the highlight of the stream. It'll come at some random time.
Unbelievable. Alrighty, what's been happening, mate?
A lot of serving in the shop.
Yeah.
Been seeing a few more buybacks coming through, which is always nice.
Yep.
Yeah, got some few nice vintage pieces.
It's been a real mix on the buybacks, hasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's been and actually some from the shop, from what I've been like, there's been buying of platinum, people selling back, but there's been a lot more people purchasing platinum, which was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite interesting, and that was a bit of a turn up this week, which goes to show that prices stay low. Doesn't really move. As soon as it starts going up, and people start going, man, this is it. Kicking in. The FOMO's kicking in. This is it. I've got to. So yeah, I even had one gentleman swap out gold to pick up a bunch of platinum. Not all his gold, but he's putting quite a bit of gold and just picked it all up in platinum. So I thought that was interesting. I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. Yeah. I'm still not. The problem is I like platinum, and we've talked about this many times on various videos. I really like platinum. But I would take a lot of convincing to sell my gold for platinum.
I'll get more platinum, but I want to keep my gold.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's gold's... I buy gold for a different reason.
Yeah.
I don't trade it. I'm a bullion dealer. I don't trade gold. Work that
Personally speaking.
Literally trades it.
My personal account, I don't... Yeah, I don't tend to trade the gold quite so much. There's a few pieces I buy to trade, but as a rule, I don't trade the gold.
That's a good rule.
It's an insurance policy more than anything else. So yeah, I'm just
yeah. That's my last resort.
Yeah.
You got to be careful saying there's been a load of buybacks, Alex, because the immediate follow up is where are they on the website?
Sold.
Yeah.
Sold. Yeah.
I listed 1/10. I think it was half ounces, a stack of silver of various sizes, and some 1 ounce gold, and yeah, they were gone within an hour, I reckon, hour and a half, just snapped straight up.
Because the thing is, we also split between the shop and online, so I don't know, if we get say 40 bars, it doesn't mean 40 are going to go shop or online. There'll be a split between them. So you put some up, and then some will be 5 ounces, 10 ounces, and whatever's listed. And then before you know it, within an hour, I think it was last week, because I made a point to post a few bits and pieces after the stream. And then when I checked, most of them were gone. And then when I came in that Saturday, all of them were gone. So they go pretty quick. Yeah. But the point is, we're seeing more of it come in than in the last, say, month or so.
Yeah, and it's been funny, though, coming in. We're still getting some larger sellbacks, don't get me wrong, but there's been quite a lot of, a lot of number of sellbacks, and they're all smaller quantities. You're seeing not the odds and sods. I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. It's just interesting where it goes in phases where, I don't know, probably 3 weeks, a month ago, we got a lot of buybacks, but they were all big buybacks. People were trading in 20, 30, 40, 50 ounces of gold at a time, and multiple kilos of silver at a time, all those sorts of things. Whereas we seem to have almost done a complete flip around now where we're still getting the occasional larger buyback come through the door, but there's a lot of, 1 kilo or a couple of kilos and a 10-ounce bar, or 1 or 2 ounce, coins in there, or, half a dozen 1/10. Those sort of things are coming through where they're more frequent, but they're much smaller in size than what we were getting even, like I said, 3 to 4 weeks ago. So this industry always amazes me where, it's only ever this way today.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow is a completely different turnaround, and sometimes it's even hour to hour. Where today was a great example of that, where it started off. I think our first customer, the store opens at 9 o'clock. I think the first customer got here at about 8:15 to join the queue. By the time 9 o'clock kicked around, there was about half a dozen people in the queue. And I thought, oh man, it's like Friday, how are we going to turn through this and actually get to live stream? And I reckon we went flat out. Well, I'm dragging people into the store till about 10 o'clock, and then it died, stopped, nothing. And I thought, was that it for the day? Like, what's going on? So, everyone's reallocating themselves to other jobs sort of thing. And then about half an hour later, I'm going around finding everyone again to drag them back into the store because the queue's blown out all over again. Yeah. And it's been like that today. It's like...
And it's been like that recently, Thursdays, after about 10:30. I think Rube's going to attest to that. It's like just quiet, and then all of a sudden just flooding through for most of the day. Yeah.
But it's like, it amazes me. It can be absolutely dead. No one around. We're all kind of twiddling our thumbs, working out what we're going to do. And 3 elevators will all arrive at the same time. The doors will all open, and there'll be 30 people in the queue. And it's like...
I was just going
to
say,
what happened? Did you guys coordinate or what?
It's group chats, Michael.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. We're all going to meet at 11 o'clock. Just
synchronise, like an Olympic sport, synchronise bullion purchasing,
This could be a bit of a silly question, but how often do you think what the trends we see lines up with the community as a wider thing? We go to events and things like that, and, we chat to other dealers and things there. How often do you say, hey, we're experiencing a lot of buybacks at the moment? And they go, oh, really? Or, are we... kind of a micro, kind of community in that sense, or do we just follow the exact same trends as everyone else is probably experiencing at the moment? Do you think?
Look, the answer is yes to both. We are, the Bullion Now family is its own microcosm, and quite often we will be busy where others aren't. But you also, there's also an overlying trend as well. So. We've talked about this a little bit last week and into this week. It's been quieter than, say, a month or two ago, where it was just, like the insanity started before 9 o'clock and it didn't finish till after 5 o'clock. Yeah. That's tending to calm down quite a bit now. So that's the same across the whole industry, from everyone I'm talking to. Everyone's starting to, slow down a bit. We're all starting to go back and clean out the back of the safe again. We've got some time to pull out those things we've been trying to get to for a while. We're all starting to juggle cash flow, because you go from, needing massive amounts of orders because of the amount of sales you're making, to all of a sudden, we're having to pay for those orders, but the turnover's not there now. So it's a case of, oh man, I've got $3 or $4 million worth of invoices to pay today, but there's only been, $500,000 come through the door, sort of thing. What am I going to do? So it's, we're all having those similar discussions around the industry. So yeah, it's interesting.
Sometimes we do get a lot more busier in buybacks, and I think that's for the fact that we offer full spot for silver. So then we'll get a lot of our customers coming back selling to us, as well as other bullion dealers' customers coming, especially if it's in, not selling just a few ounces of silver, but you're selling large chunks, then obviously everything adds up. So in periods when we see a lot of buybacks, sometimes that we are busier, and I would suggest that's why. You're just getting more for your buybacks.
I always find it interesting that several of the other dealers will go and sell it back to Bullion Now. It's like, I'm never sure if it's because we offer a better price, or because they're going, oh my goodness, I can't afford this cash flow. What are we gonna do?
Or the other thing is, it takes time, and this spins me up, because we had quite a few customers say that, and I know at least one dealer, very reputable dealer, does that. But I'm thinking sometimes it's in terms of, if they're busy and someone's selling back a whole bunch and you have to test through and it's ref, just go see them. But hey, that brings all the crawl buybacks, all the different rounds and 1 ounce and 2 ounce and customs and everything like that you see. So I love seeing what comes through. Yeah.
And I got to say, this week, unlike sometimes where we're harping on it a little bit, but you kind of get the same buybacks come through sometimes. And we had a period for probably a fortnight there where, in 1 ounce coins, the only thing we were buying back was kangaroos, just over and over and over and over and over. This week, the variety in the 1 ounce silver buybacks Like somebody brought in a box of 300 to sell to us, and I don't think there was 2 the same in the box.
Wow. Yeah.
It was just a whole stack of rounds and bars and coins, and it was amazing.
That would have been the one day I was off. That's why I'm like, hang on. Yeah. So I saw remnants of it the day I came back.
That's
but,
right.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, it's not that you sort through them, but you kind of, as you're testing them and, you're walking past them and you're making sure, they're all 1 ounces or, there's no 2 ounces or half ounces mixed in there, those sort of things. Yeah, like when you go, wow, I haven't seen one. Oh, wow, it's I don't think any 2 of them were alike in the whole box.
You've got Roy talking about that, although not quite from a positive level. He's talking to you, Alex. He says he bought 10 of the Lucky Dip and ended up with all buffaloes.
Okay,
so not quite a lucky dip.
Had the reverse experience.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I can kick Rooter under the bus for that one because I haven't been picking from. So since we moved to Pakenham, we've got different crew picking from Pakenham because it's a much bigger facility, and it holds a lot more stock. So I do some. I still do all the Twitter ones and the X sales and the specials. And there's some coming up. So if you're after some cool stuff, you can check that out. But generally, and I know we've been trying to catch up, so that's probably been why. But I know I speak for everyone. When you see a mixed bag of things, we will always endeavour to put like at least half of something, unless we just haven't got them at hand at the moment. So I know with a lot of the rounds before, we had at the start a lot of various pieces. And then there were quite a few like monster boxes that were just like of one type. So that may have been the case, but certainly it always helps we always try anyway, but if you are after a mix, always ask if we can do it. We can't always do it, but we do always we do always try. Yeah,
I can't speak to why you ended up. I would argue if you were buying 1 ounce silver, that it would be very unusual where we'd send out 10 of the same thing.
Unless
10 out of 10.
Yeah, it depends when he was picked as well. And in times of drought, like we would have been like certain things or kangaroos, but it is very unusual unless sometimes if it's in a medallion, if those medallion tubes and it's 10 and you might get half and half or something. But generally we do mix. We do mix.
Yeah, we do try. Yeah. My heart goes out to you, Brown Dog. I hate it when V-Line replaces trains with buses. Yeah, poor mongrel. It's that's not pleasant. Living on a regional line, I get it totally.
Pocahontas says, what do people think about poured silver artworks? I have recently seen a few and it looks amazing, but it's expensive.
Yes to both.
Yes. And I responded there as well. I love a lot of the poured artwork and pieces. Unfortunately, in Australia, it carries
GST as well.
GST, so you get the 10. I don't know if you're watching from overseas, but it's a 10% tax. So I'm not sure where you are, but here, I love them, but it's difficult to get, and people don't buy as much because of the cost incurred. Yeah.
A lot of love out there for the legendary warriors, by the sounds of it.
Someone picking on you for not thinking Julius Caesar was worthy of the legendary warrior tag, as you mentioned in the video.
I know. But
I was aware of the kidnapping.
Yeah. That's the pirate story.
That's an automatic entry. That in itself is an automatic entry.
Pretty cool, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the release of those this week. And very awesome series, as I called us out for in the comments on that video. We did use the word detail
I was going to say,
a lot.
Look at the detail on that coin round.
We did use that word a lot. But honestly, I think one of my favourite series for the year. I think I'll go on record as saying my favourite series so far for the year.
Smitty's good idea there. We should have put some up as a set.
Yeah.
So people didn't have to go one of those and one of those and one of those and one of those.
We used to do that.
We did
when we had time.
Yeah, that's right.
No, but it didn't even. It's not. We didn't even. Yeah, it didn't even cross their minds. We were just flat out. But they certainly are beautiful. I saw him only when I saw the video that when it released. But just before it released, I took him to the shop and had a peek at it, and wow.
Yeah, the detail.
Look, there's a reason we were saying it over and over.
Yeah, as I said in the comments, the detail on all of them are incredibly detailed.
I do think we needed to break out the thesaurus or something for that one.
But my hands down favourite was Joan of Arc. I love the background and the church and the like everything. What's yours?
No,
Do you have a favourite?
You said Genghis Khan, I think.
Yeah, I did
in the
like
video.
the Genghis Khan. I really liked. I actually liked all of them. But what I found, and I was talking about this with the guys in EDC yesterday in our dispatch centre, because we had a stack lined up. I like some of the coins are shiny finish and some of them are matte finish, and I still think the shiny looks better. So I can almost go, that one's my favourite because it's got the shiny finish rather than the matte finish.
Yeah. I'm more of a matte finish.
Yeah. Nah, the shiny just really just brings it out.
There you go. We
Just
got to
highlights the detail.
We've got to add intricate to our vocabulary on that one.
Yeah. The
Intricately detailed on it.
That's right.
But no, very, very cool series, and looking forward to seeing the others. I think they've been popular enough that we might look at getting the rest.
Yeah. I don't see why not. I think they're great. I think is there 15 in the set?
Yeah, I think there was another 5. I listed the other ones on that video as to what the others would be, and looking forward to seeing what
really
they
looking
do.
forward to Miyamoto Musashi and what that one.
Yes. Attila the Hun as well for me. I'm looking forward to that one as well. Any particular artist you like? I think in reference to the silver artwork and sculptures and that kind of field.
No, and it's not that I don't like.
We had Adrian do some fun stuff.
He done some incredible stuff.
Smitty does some incredible stuff, and some of the stuff you get from overseas.
Bad Apple.
Thank you. All I could get was Apple. I couldn't think of the rest of it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he's produced, there are so many out
check
there.
He's still going.
And while I may not like every piece they produce, overall, some of them are just amazing.
Yeah, like you said, Smitty's Bullion. I like his standard bars more than the say different poured pieces. But when I say standard bars,
I had the combi bar on my desk. Not the combi bar, not like the
van
VW
combi. Van.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I've still one of my favourites is of his is a 10-ounce rectangular darkened what I call croc leather.
Yeah.
So that finish, it just looks wow.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot online, just on Twitter, people show showcasing their collections, and the stuff in the States, because there's so much more of it going on, and North America in general is just incredible, but we don't see much of it here, unfortunately.
Well, we don't, and the GST certainly doesn't do that any favours either. So, but there's a lot of incredibly skilled artists out there that work with particularly silver and gold, and produce amazing things. Even Backyard with some of the stuff he produces, just amazing, absolutely amazing stuff. So,
David Smith, do the Legendary Warrior rounds come in capsules? So they come in the medallion tubes of 20, but we do, if you get a few, we do encapsulate them ourselves.
Yeah. We don't even charge you for the privilege.
Yeah.
There we go. Matt's not here and we're still doing a poll.
I think we've established it doesn't have to be the prerequisite for it, but he is definitely the champion of the poll.
Looks like I'm outvoted. The Matt's going off. Oh no, it's got back to 50-50.
Recovered.
It was just the start off. What else we got? Somebody's talking about, I think it was Drogue was talking about China this week, one of the refineries over there, saying they're facing a silver shortage.
Shortage in supply.
Yeah, look, it's... I'm not about to say that we're running out of silver, because we're not. But there are some challenging. Some of the refineries are starting to say, well, actually, we can't produce that yet. We're waiting on deliveries. We're hoping to get more in. Like it's that early stage that we're starting to see. I'm not calling a silver shortage yet. But I have to say, I'm a little wary. Sorry, I should have said there. I am a little weary as well.
Someone did ask if you were feeling sick this week.
I'm a little wary. There's just been a couple of things that I can't put my finger on lately where I've gone, I just don't like the sound of this, and we're starting to stock up a little bit is probably the best way to put it. Perth Mint not producing kilo bars still is frustrating the living daylights out of us, and that's certainly not helping. And in fact, that has a flow-on effect because, we can't get Perth Mints and they're not readily available. So people start moving out into other things. So we're offering the Perth Mint 2023 kilo koala and the 24 dragon at those prices. So the sales of those are spiking. Fortunately, we've got heaps of those. We kind of use those for stacking quite a bit. So we've got heaps to go through. But, we're seeing the Germania kilo bars, the demand on those increase, and the PAMP kilo bars demand and the locally produced kilo bars demand increase. So is that causing a shortage because they're having to up their production and we're having to bring in more from overseas? That's not really a shortage as such. It's just the fact that Perth Mint can't produce their kilo bars at the moment. So, there's certain things that you can explain around it, but there's also a couple of things where I'm just starting to go, I don't like the speed of your production or your delivery or those types of things. And it's not that I'm panicking yet. I'm just starting to be wary. I did it again, didn't I? Starting to be wary of just what's going on.
There we go. We've got an answer from Kate from Finance. It's all stuck in Treasury.
Yeah, that's right. Something's stuck over there, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Got a question from Sparked. Hey, BN, recently made a decent purchase. Was wondering why the order took so long, and wasn't until I emailed BN was told I needed to send through ID. I understand this flags for your end, but can we also get an email prompt for customers to avoid delays?
Yeah, look, this one, I don't know, something's fallen off. Because normally 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we were pretty good with this, but for some reason we seem to have not been letting people know if you're ordering a certain amount. I think it's over $5,000 to be shipped out. For insurance reasons, we need some form of ID, and not that they always, like the couriers always check your ID, which is what they're meant to do. But we still have to tick the box on our end. I don't know if something's broken in the system and the email's not going out anymore, or whether we're not chasing it up or what, but I've had a few complaints this last week or two about people saying, what the heck, you haven't delivered, you never asked me for my ID, and it's like, sorry, something's gone a bit screwy in there.
It may. The only thing I can think of, if it was a few combined pieces that previously were all under 5, and then when you combine them, they go over that price point.
But it still
that's what I'm speculating.
We still had a system where we contacted the customer promptly and said, hey, your combined shipping is now over the 5K, because that's usually usually if somebody buys for 5K, it's usually pretty automatic that we're chasing an ID anyway. But it's usually when people, they combine 3 or 4 parcels together, it pushes it over the 5K. And, while they might have only been 2K transactions, so they haven't had to have produced ID, now for insurance purposes, we need the ID. We used to be good at it. I don't know what's happened. As soon as I get a breather, I'll actually jump on and try and work out why we're failing in that. So I do apologise if it caused the delay. But yeah, it's pretty simple. If your parcel's over $5,000, even if you want to anticipate it and just flick us your ID, it'll speed things up much, much, much more.
Smitty wondering if something else has fallen over with the emails, saying they haven't been getting incoming payment emails over the last week either.
Okay, that's news to me. I haven't heard that one. So again, I'll take that on board and chase it up. Just as a bit of a public service announcement, we're actually changing our back-end system at the moment. We're going to a completely new system as of July 1. So there's a few things there that may or may not be falling through the cracks during this changeover period. So I'm not saying don't tell me about them. Absolutely tell me about them so I can chase them up and make sure that they keep happening. But that could be a reason something may have fallen over in that. So, yeah.
There's been questions about the kilo bars this week, both from Laurie there, but also customers through the store. Have we got any update on the Perth Mint kilo silver bars?
No, it's fallen over again. I don't know why. And look, it's not that I can announce it. I can't announce things from Perth Mint. But I know from us, they stopped taking orders, and then they actually started taking back orders again for it was days, possibly a week. I don't actually think it was that long. It was only in the days, and then obviously something else happened, and that privilege was pulled from under us again. So I don't actually know what's going on over there, but there is something going on with their kilo production, and they're not available currently. it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But don't forget, as I said before, while we're having this difficulty getting the kilo bars, we are doing these kilo coins at bar prices, which is a absolute screaming bargain. If you could see what cost base was on them, yeah, you'd be understanding what's going on.
Hi, Michael. How do you feel about testing buyback gold coins solely by XRF and not weighing them?
I'm not keen on it. Usually things are weighed. Oh, they're not. No, they are. Look, it depends what it is. If it's a coin in capsule, and we can tell that the capsule's not been opened and all these types of things, it doesn't probably stress me quite so much. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it.
There was also a question from Metal Inquisitor asking basically how... I'll read it word for word.
Metal Inquisitor was in this week.
Yes,
Was?
he was.
Yeah.
It was great to catch up with him.
Yeah, it was.
Do you think
Thank you very
Pakenham will be overwhelmingly popular such that it's crickets and rumbleweeds in the city store?
No, I don't think so. Well, no, hang on. Let me answer that. I don't think it's going to, completely die out in the city. There's a lot of people that enjoy coming into the city, and it has its advantages, not the least of all being we're one of many in this building. So it means that you can compare prices and service and all that sort of stuff, and all in the one building.
And a great range of cafes.
Yeah, that's right. But having said that, there's a lot of people that go, I really don't want to join the crush into the city.
More so the parking.
Car parking is always a mongrel. If I can roll out to Pakenham, which... you say to someone Pakenham, they go, it's way out in the boonies. Yeah, but once you get on the highway, it's actually a pretty quick trip out there.
Spend that long looking for a car park here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, it's just down the road. So, look, I think Pakenham will be fairly popular, more popular than I expected. My bigger concern with Pakenham is that we've massively underestimated the space that we'll actually need down there, because it is only a small shop, because I thought it would only be, a couple of folks from kind of East Gippsland coming in that didn't want to come into Melbourne, or from Gippsland way.
I did as well.
Yeah.
I made that mistake as well.
Yeah, whereas I think everyone from kind of the inner eastern suburbs onwards, moving outwards, are all going to head down to Pakenham just because they don't have to worry about parking and all this sort of garbage. So, yeah, I think Pakenham will be more popular than I expected, and I think that's going to bite me a little bit. But I don't think it's going to make Melbourne turn into a ghost town either.
There's been some email questions roll through. This one says, hey legends, thanks for answering question regarding spot price last week. Looking forward to watching a new episode of your live stream. Usually I can't attend live stream, but I watch it later on the weekend while cooking.
Good stuff.
It's really hard to source any 10-gram gold minted bars now. Could you please answer during the stream maybe? When do you expect to get them back in stock? Even the Perth Mint bars. Thanks.
Perth Mint bars are back in stock.
There you go.
I just sent 25 of them to the shop just before I came on the live stream.
And they're gone. Well, I'd like to jump in with that as well.
They are currently on the web.
Yeah. The 10 and 20 grand combos have been very popular recently, because that brings it to almost an ounce. But, for those that save up to $5,000 in cash and come in to get it, that'll be under that. So we've sold quite a few 10s and 20s, both new and in buyback. So they've been flying out pretty quick.
There's one on the web.
Oh.
Wow.
So
I wasn't that far off anyway.
There's a heck of a lot more on the web, but they're committed. So there's only one spare at the moment. Yeah, look, we do have them in stock. I can shuffle some from the shop onto the web if people need. But you're right. Once spot pushed through $5,000, it really made, particularly the 20, but the 20 and multiples of 10, all of a sudden became very, very popular.
Why is there a difference in price between different years of Platinum Kangaroo?
Perth Mint put their price up, and I get lazy and don't adjust the price for the earlier ones like I'm meant to. But yeah, it's usually just down to that. They'll increase their premium by $5, so we increase the premium going forward. But I don't retrospectively go back and change it.
Germania Golden Eagles, when are they due for release? And are we going to be getting them?
Well, the short answer is yes, and we're not allowed to announce this publicly yet because it's still under embargo. But
do you want to whisper it to me?
Yeah, just between you, don't tell anyone else, but they're going to be, as of very, very soon, the exclusive distributor for Germania.
Woohoo!
Yeah, for Australia and New Zealand.
I'll drink.
So
Choice, bro.
I'm very excited about that, but we can't tell anyone, so just keep it
Right.
on the down low for now.
I hope we don't get in trouble.
It's going to be embarrassing if they go, we heard that and we're pulling it now. Oh, great.
Had a customer send through some questions about the Perth Mint gold serial numbers. The minted bars over the last couple of years, any that I've purchased have had slowly incrementing numbers C5XXX or C6XXXX serial numbers. I picked up some recently purchased ones today and noticed one has a C1XXXX serial number. Just curious as to your thoughts on the likely reason, as it would seem to be from quite some time ago. I went and looked at some of the ones that we had and they were then C0.
No, I was going to say, I thought they all started with 0.
So, and it didn't seem to be a different number of digits either, from what he was referencing. So I'm interested. I don't really have an answer. I was going to pitch it to you guys and see if you knew anything from the top of your head. But
look, it could be, I mean, I suppose in theory it could be old stock from Perth. I've got to be honest, we get so many of these things through that I don't go and look at the serial numbers on them.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you, like, what number they're up to or anything like that.
The only ones that really look at serial numbers are like the old Perth Mint,
Oh, yeah.
100 ounce
yeah.
bars. It's like 01. We had 01, 000157, and I
Yeah.
thought that was
Yeah. So I don't know. Look, to be honest, I wouldn't care about the serial number on it. And look, I'll take all your old gold. Like, if you're worried about it being past its use-by date, just send it in. We'll certainly.
I don't think that was the concern. It's more just a, hey, why,
an interesting.
have they gone
observation.
back on previously done numbers kind
I
of thing?
wouldn't have thought so. It kind of defeats the purpose of it. Look, I can't give you a good answer on that one.
Unless
Dunno.
so if that's earlier than all the more recent ones, I'm thinking if it was. It depends who held. Like, depends where you got it from. Who held it for what? Was it held in reserve for, say, some type of unallocated program or something, and
that's not
then
entirely
resold back
impossible.
in? Like, I'm just trying to think of how and why, but that might be a possibility.
Yeah, can't answer you on that one. Sorry.
We've got a request, Michael, for a live stream gold special, like you've done previously. I have some unallocated gold purchased, though I'd like to use maybe sovereigns at spot or $200 gold coins at spot. Love your Friday live streams. They're the highlight of my week.
Thank you very much. Watch this space.
Yeah, we could watch this space or...
Because I've got an idea. I think I mentioned to you, and I'll talk to Adzi as well about for next Friday. We'll see.
Yeah, let's not do an impromptu, because this is not something.
For any more information, just call Sylvia. And, no, don't, please don't. I'll get killed.
1300 84 84 10. Say Alex said to talk to Sylvia
About the gold special.
Oh dear. Yeah, you can face
Don't,
that one, mate.
Sorry, can we do a live edit?
Yeah, don't you have a 30-second delay here or something, Rubes? You can cut that out.
And we can land a man on the moon, allegedly, but we can't do a live edit. What's going on?
Yeah, that's the one.
I've got my button for when things get really bad, but that's about it.
I should try and do that really bad, but in Morse code, like time it as well. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we... I was just wondering about doing a $200 special, but you're probably right. We probably shouldn't do that on the fly.
No, not on the fly.
It'll bite us on the backside. Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Large Hadron Collider turning lead to gold a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, look, I think this is a something nothing. Maybe I'm just being a Neanderthal, but it took so much energy, so much force, so much everything. I said to someone this week, it would actually be good if they could do it, because then it would drive the price of gold up. It's kind of like when people say, they're going to start mining gold on comets. And you go, well, that's on meteors. That's fantastic. I hope they do, because the cost recovery on it will drive the price of gold through the roof. It's similar here. I mean, they think they created gold, and I don't think they're even sure they actually did. But it was such a minute amount. If it was more than a couple of molecules, I'd be amazed. It was really
And
tiny.
how long did it last? Did it hold for
like a billionth of a second?
Yeah.
So it was just literally a flash in the pan. I don't think it's an issue. Is it going to be in the future? Look, no one can predict the future. I'd be very, very surprised. I think it's a storm. Currently, it's a storm in a teacup. But I guess everyone in the back of everyone's mind is what's happened in the diamond industry, where lab-grown diamonds now, and I mean, you don't have. Not everyone has a collider in their backyard. Whereas the lab-grown diamonds, a lot of people can do so. The lab-grown diamonds have almost obliterated the diamond industry because they can just make them at a whim now and at a hundredth, a thousandth of the cost. Some of the jewellers were telling me quite recently how little diamonds cost now. They pay, instead of paying $10,000 and $15,000, they're paying like $200, $300.
Wow.
For these high quality diamonds now that are lab grown. So
they pay that for them.
Yeah,
how much do they sell them for?
Yeah, well, they still sell them for a bit more than that, but even down to industrial wise, like the drill bits and that have diamond on them, they've come right down. Instead of paying tens or hundreds of dollars for them, they're now far cheaper because the diamond tips are a dime a dozen. So
a diamond a dozen.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional.
No pun
or not,
intended.
but it's good.
Pun fully intended.
Yeah.
We had a couple of ones sent through to us as well, some images. We had this is a bit of a follow-on from the figures of Michael and Alex. We've just got the Alex figure all on his own there.
I love it. I've got to try and find someone to make them.
Yeah, it's a nice little thing there. So appreciate you sending that through.
That is great.
This was one as well we're trying to get through last week, but I didn't manage to from over from Twitter, Alex.
Yep.
And we were looking at a Tetris set.
Two Tetris sets
that we have sold previously. We've still got some of the individual pieces up, but they have filled out the board, Michael.
Yeah, so one was...
Well, I haven't. There's a bit of gap at the top there.
Well, no. See, he even... I believe he asked Grok for some assistance in what's the perfect amount to get to fill up as much as you can. So that's the best you're going to get, and that is just an absolutely incredible effort. I absolutely love that.
Yes.
So yeah, full dedication there, thank you for sending it through to us. Very, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Moving on to briefly talk, because we've had quite a few people send us this week, and it's kind of been something we've been looking at as well. To talk about Florida this week, Michael.
Yes.
So they've come out and said, yep, basically gold and silver are now legal tender.
Not quite. Almost. So DeSantis has signed the bill, but it hasn't been ratified yet. But they are... Look, I'm not trying to downplay it as in this is a something nothing. I'm just trying to put it in perspective a little bit. They're aiming for I think it's mid-2026 before it actually becomes as is, like an actual, a means of payment. And it's by choice. And I had to laugh that you can pay... If they choose to, you'll be able to pay government bodies, but only electronically. Right. So you can pay them in gold electronically. So work that one out. Still struggling with that one a little bit. But
some of the nitty-gritty details, I think, I'm still not 100% sure of how they're going to be working it yet.
Well, how do you give change? Somebody walks in with an ounce of
gold.
About
change. Forget change. How do you verify?
Well, yeah, there's that as well.
That's the question. I mean, it's certainly... I love the conversation and the possibilities of it. It's just to figure out the practical, how to go about it.
Look, I don't think, and look, I think they're recognising that because they're making it by choice. You can choose to accept gold or silver, for that matter. So I think it's actually a really good way to do it because it means that we can choose to accept it. So we've got the facilities to be able to do that. Whereas the business next to you doesn't have to and say, look, I'm not set up for that. I'm just going to stick with cash.
It's not like legal tender where it's
there's no compulsion to use it.
And
so,
when is that? 2026.
I think it's mid. I think it's like June 2026.
Okay, so if that goes through, I'm putting it out there now. Imagine a Bullion Now store in Florida now.
That'd be a good one.
And we accept payment in bullion as we could accept payment for silver and gold and vice versa.
The interesting thing, Florida, where's that, mate? The interesting thing is because they're doing this, it removes sales tax off gold and silver in the state. So that's a good I'm assuming it's an unintended side effect,
Yeah.
but it's certainly a positive one.
Well, imagine if we had that here and no, say, GST on 22 carat.
Yeah, well, that'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
incredible. Yeah.
But I had to laugh. I was in a conversation with a group of Americans earlier this week, and they were saying this was before all this stuff blew up over Florida accepting precious metals or looking at accepting precious metals, and they're going, Florida's it's kind of like a world of its own. They were commenting on different things, but apparently in the last couple of weeks, the head of the police over there, I don't know what his official title is, but whoever heads the police for Florida came out and said, apparently somebody had been shot, a burglar had been shot in a house, and the person was kind of hiding and not wanting to come out, and so he did a media interview and said, look, this guy needs to know that he's not under any threat. He's perfectly within his right to, shoot an intruder. And in fact, we'd actually prefer you did shoot the intruder.
I do remember that clip. Yeah.
That's only in America, and apparently only in Florida.
I've
like that
seen a similar clip before a few years ago, and I think it was Florida as well. I'm not 100%. But how different it would be if, say, he was in California.
Yeah, that's right.
Or Chicago,
Melbourne.
or even New York.
Just to come out and say, actually, we'd prefer you did that.
All right, like once again, I'll bring it up once again. So be in Florida. How's that
that's
sounding?
Right. Sounding better all the time. Look, it'll be interesting to see the impact it'll have on goldbacks, because that could be the answer to, like I said, the change, and like you said, the verification.
Yeah.
It actually, excuse me, coughing in the background. This time of year, my asthma goes through the roof. So I might need to go and step to the side and take some Ventolin in a moment. But it'll be really interesting to see if that will push the goldbacks out into more quote unquote mainstream sort of stuff. So interesting.
We've got Spark there asking if we've seen the new Scottsdale Mint Eagle stackers.
We have. A little disappointed with those because we were in negotiations for exclusive on those in Australia. And, apparently one of the big guys in the States jumped on it, and we can't get it now. So very disappointed with that. But I've actually seen them in real life, and they are absolutely stunning. They've kicked that one out of the park. They've done really well with that. So if you're interested in them, absolutely get hold of them. You won't be disappointed. They're great.
Yeah, no, cool to see those ones. We also had someone send through. I haven't got the clip from it because it kind of went on talking about some other things, but had someone send us through a clip from it was I think 50 years, I think it was, since Saigon. But they were talking about some Vietnamese people who had fled to Australia. And this one lady's story particularly, her mother had just kind of grabbed up some belongings and had sewn into some clothes, I think into her bra specifically, some gold coins to escape with them. They were confronted by bandits throughout the course of their escape. And didn't find these gold coins, kind of a part of it. And they sent through, I'll quickly pull up the email because it had some interesting quotes from there about how it says here, the Vietnamese often refer to gold as non-geographical wealth and external value without borders. And I thought that was a really cool way of describing exactly the advantages gold can have in situations like, hey, we got to pick up our lives and get out of here. And we know, Alex, you've spoken about your personal experience with that kind of concept. It was cool to see.
Wow, that's super interesting. Permissionless payments is how I like to say. Yeah, you don't need anyone else's permission. You've got it; it's yours.
Yeah, but we've seen it, like a lot of those, both personally and through our business here. We've come across several of those stories where people have escaped. South Africa.
Yep.
We had not that long ago. We had somebody bring in. Two brothers brought in like hundreds of
300 something or 500.
Well, I can't remember. I just remember it being a bucket load.
It was about 3 years ago. It was about a year before I started here.
Of Krugerrands, and that was the way their folks had, like their parents had smuggled their wealth out of South Africa at the time. Vietnamese is one. A lot of the Eastern Europeans at different times have had to do that. it just time and again, gold proves its ability, its worth to actually, to be able to take your wealth with you and convert it wherever you're going in the world. And it doesn't matter where you're going in the world. If you've got an ounce, a kilo, whatever it is of gold, you can be sure that that gold is going to be worth as much, if not more, than when you wherever you've come from, sort of thing. So it's very, very transferable across any borders and those types of things. It's you don't need permission for it. You don't need anyone to. You don't have to go to a government agency to convert it or anything along those sort of lines. You can just take it with you. Yeah. And I'm not talking about illegal smuggling or anything along those sort of lines. I'm just, just an observation of, I can carry my wealth with me and take it somewhere and be 100% sure that it's still going to set me up where I am. Whereas, a lot of us have experienced, you take a fistful of Australian dollars overseas and they are effectively worthless in their form. It doesn't really matter which country you're going to, whether it be a quote-unquote third world country or even, going into some of the main countries. They're still not going to accept Australian dollars. You're going to have to convert them somewhere. It's effectively worth nothing once you leave the Australian borders, whereas gold...
And that goes for any fiat currency.
Absolutely.
Even something like USD that I would say in the past has had this, almost that same level of, you could go overseas and people will still recognise it. I think that's becoming less and less nowadays. I remember hearing quite a few stories about it having that kind of reputation, and I think it is and has lost a little bit of that. Well,
it certainly has, even on an everyday level. Like you go downstairs and try and pay for your coffee with a I don't know. I should know this, but I can't tell you what the notes are from the USD. I was going to say with a $5 note. I don't know if they do fives or not, but you know what I mean. They're going to turn you away. It's not worth anything once you leave those countries' borders.
Kim and Annie, hey Michael, any update on Kids Stacker Club?
I knew that was coming.
Actually, hi Kim and Annie. It was actually good to catch up with you and to Stackers me.
It says Alex can give you a heads up on how ready little Zach is.
Hey?
It says Alex can give you a heads up on how ready little Zach is to join.
He's ready. And if you come in soon, I found some buyback XAGs minted. That's another story.
You're not smuggling them off to the side, are you?
No. This is a kids club pre-start, okay? So if you bring him in, there's a couple of half ounces I found, and I know he loves the XPTs, the XAGs.
Intrinsic
the
tenders,
silver. Intrinsic tender one. Yeah. But there is an idea I'm going to float past Michael to get things kick-started. I'll talk to you later.
Always interested to hear. It's moving along, but it's certainly, we're not about to announce it in the next week or two. But things are trucking along. It takes time to do these things.
Yeah.
Someone's worked quick here, Michael, on a Michael Legendary Warrior round.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. So you've been given a unicorn.
All right, who do we get that to mint that? That is fantastic.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, is that Pakenham?
In the background?
Yeah.
I don't know. Bring it up again.
Where are we? There we are.
That's just past the freeway. I recognise that.
That's right.
So I think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, people do AI comparisons all the time, but we've almost had this progression of coins that we can very clearly go, hey, this is what they were a couple of years ago, versus this is what they are now. So.
Oh dear.
Thank you for sending that one through. I think it's time also for some. Where in the world is that Bullion Now bag, Michael?
Oh, yes, please.
The jingle.
I can't wait for it. I love it.
I think we've got three, I think. And I don't know if any of them are necessarily ones that we'll be able to pick, but some of these are just kind of a cool highlight of some of the places our bags have been. So, let's roll the jingle.
Where in the world is that Bullion Now bag? Where could it be? Can you guess? Let's see.
Alrighty. We have this one first up from Andrew and Kath. So we've kind of already said a little bit of...
I'm guessing this is in North Queensland. I'm just getting this feeling.
We've got this here with a very, very nice looking little
Oh, wow.
kind of almost tropical area.
Is it a bird bath? Where's the Kookaburra?
Good on you. That's one of the stations, I think.
It's in, I don't know if I wait a second for people to guess, but like I said, these ones are more just a bit of a show off of some of the places our bags end up. This is in Charlotte Plains, Western Queensland.
There you go.
Wow, very cool.
So yeah,
I'd love to be there.
Yeah. I'm already there mentally.
haven't seen them chime in this week yet, but I know they were at least last week tuning in via satellite to join the stream. So yeah, hopefully you guys are still going good. Roy, if you send them through to live@bullionnow.com.au.
LIVE.
Yep.
That's it. And yeah, we can put them up there. Got another one here. Maybe might get a location, but I'm not sure how you'll go more specifically than just Asia as a whole.
Hang on. That's not Box Hill, is it?
No.
Okay.
It's either Japan or China.
Judging by the... Oh, I'd go...
Yeah, Honkers. I could see it in Honkers.
Yeah, maybe Hong Kong.
We are in Shanghai.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, cool little spot. They said there was quite a line for the gold that they were checking out over there as well. So I thought that was an interesting one.
There you go. A very well-travelled Bullion Now bag, isn't it?
Love to visit Shanghai. Yeah, that's still on my bucket list.
It's potentially not just the same bag, Michael. I think you'll find there's a couple of
it's
different
not one
ones.
bag just being handed around everyone.
Another one here. Say some...
It's got to be in China. No? Or Vic Market.
No. Okay, no. Where's that? Put us out of my misery. Where is that?
I was going to see if anyone in chat. Water Monkey Japan. Yep, correct. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Gotokuji Temple, and these are the invitation cats.
Sorry, what temple, Rubes?
Gotokuji.
Yeah, you did butcher it.
Cool.
You want to have a go?
No, I don't want to show off.
But yeah, cool to see those ones. And I believe I got one more actually. I'm not actually sure where this one was. But a nice little sunrise somewhere with an emu there.
I can tell you one thing, it's a lot more relaxing than where we are right now.
I'm looking for an emu in the background. It's on the
sorry.
point.
Yeah.
He goes, with the emu there. I'm going, what?
Email.
We don't know where that one is, did you say?
I reckon it's more localish, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think somewhere in Australia. I'm not 100% sure where.
South Australia?
Looks almost Cape Pat. Cape.
Yeah, they haven't specified, so not sure on that one.
Yeah.
But still cool to see. Thanks for sending it through. And yeah, as I said before, if you had if you were going on a trip or just lived in a really cool place that you wanted to hide a Bullion Now bag somewhere, send it through to live@bullionnow.com.au.
You know, this all kicked off because somebody sent us in a photo of one. Was it in Norway?
Greenland. That
Greenland,
was the
that's
first
right.
one. And I just went, that's so cool that our product is ended
Wow,
up there.
did you say New America?
That's right.
Wow, that's...
So yeah, thank you to everyone who participates. I saw a few people say they were going on trips earlier and that they'd have to bring a Bullion Now bag. I didn't highlight those comments because that'll give away some potential future answers, so we can't have that.
Very cool.
That's
The only thing I don't like about this being here, we don't hear the jingle when it plays. I have to wait for... I have to rewatch it tonight.
Listen to it on the bus on the way home, mate. You'll be right.
But no, I like it as a segment.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Good fun. All right, I'm going to take over for a moment because we've had some, as we said right back at the start, we've had some interesting buybacks come in this week. And a couple, I actually bought 3 in. Now, one of them was just because I was too lazy to swing into the store before I came through. It's only a 2022 Kangaroo, so that really doesn't count much. But that was one of the buybacks that came in. But the 2 I wanted to highlight, we'll probably start off with the easy one first. Do you want to? You want me to hold it, do you? Okay. So this is more a curiosity than anything else. We don't see a lot of them, although we do see them come in occasionally. So it is. I mean, it's fascinating because it's an older Johnson Matthey. I've never seen that stamp before, the London stamp with Johnson Matthey.
Well,
but the reason I was actually highlighting it was more because of the weight. Because this is measured in tollers. Now, we don't do tollers in Australia. And in fact, most of the Western world don't do tollers. But it is a weight, particularly in India, parts of Asia, and out into the Middle East.
Yeah.
You'll see gold bars, even to this day, are measured in tollers. And I didn't realise till very recently, a toller is exactly 3/8 of an ounce.
Wow.
I didn't know that. So there you go. I know it's a bit over 11.5 grams, and it drives me nuts because I have to look it up every time.
11.66.
Now, so I've only ever seen them since working at Bullion Now. So in the 2 years I've been here, that's the best looking tollers I've ever seen. Tollers cast bar I've ever seen. I've seen quite a few different variations, but that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Drogue there. I pay plenty of tollers on the freeway. I'm here and I come up CityLink every morning. But I just thought it was just an interesting one to highlight because a lot of people, wouldn't have even heard of tollers, never mind actually seeing how they come. But that's a 10 toller bar. It's about 3 3/4 ounces.
That's it. You kind of look at it and just go, oh yeah, 100 grammer, about that kind of thing until you take a bit of a closer look.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. But the one that we all fell in love with this week, and it has a history behind it, although I probably will butcher it if I try. I meant to bring the book in with me. So for those that remember, we highlighted a book 12 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that.
Look, it could be either 6 months, it could be 18 months. I don't know. Time's been crazy.
Sometime in the last 12 months, we had a book by Kim Brett called The Australian Vintage Cast Bars, or Australian...
Top bloke, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So an incredible piece of work. And if you can get hold of one, and I've really got to catch up with Kim and talk about getting another edition made.
It's the Australian poured ingots.
Thank you. Australian poured ingots. He's just done an amazing amount of research into some of these Australian bars, and it's incredibly niche.
And so it's a large hardcover edition, and full colour photography is just incredible. Yeah,
it's a great way to show people without showing people your stack, to show people your hobby. It makes a beautiful coffee table piece or anything along those sort of lines. I don't know why I'm going so far down the book path other than the fact that I really love the book, but this is one that came in this week. And this one is actually in the book, or it's mentioned in the book. And it's an old Harrington DCL bar. Now, this one weighs 2.5 ounces. Now, once you go over an ounce, the collectability of them, particularly these days, becomes not as widespread, obviously because of the price of them going up. But this is a very rare bar. So normally they're less than 10 in existence, but this one's even rarer than that because of the back of it. Hang on, don't take your camera back to where it was, because on the back it's actually dated 1982. And there were pretty much none surviving. Obviously there is at least one. I'm twisting it the wrong way, sorry. I can't work backwards on a camera. So 1982, so they reckon there's almost none of these in existence. So a very, very, very rare vintage bar. And, these are the sort of things that we get in buybacks on occasions. And they're just... We always fall back on it's okay if we buy a bar or, anything like that. We don't kind of care what size it is because we can get it recast into whatever we like. These things come in and I can't bear sending them for melt. So we madly hunt around. Yeah, we madly hunt around to try and find an owner from them. And like I said, once it goes over about an ounce, people start going, 2.5 ounces, what's that about? Yeah. About 10, 12. So it's probably about 13 grand, somewhere around about that, really rough numbers. Like to drop 13 grand on a collectible, And it's not that we charge massive premiums on them, because we absolutely don't. We want them to go back out into society.
And I have to say, you're great like that, Mike. I know you're trying to preserve it at the lowest premiums you can, because if they just end up as jewellery pieces or some other smaller variety of cast bars or minted bars. So, and this is an absolutely stunning piece. The number on this, as you said, the year is 1982. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros in front of it, and this is number 49. So it just goes to show if this is one of the last surviving ones around that year.
I would say it's the only surviving one.
In that year, there's not that many that were produced either. And
Well, they
for
only
a
stamped them
Harrington,
for 2 years.
yeah,
82 and 83.
yeah, wow.
So incredible, like gives me goosebumps when these sorts of things
Yeah.
come in. And I know that's a bit crazy, but it does. So they're the sort of things that you get in at Bullion Now sometimes. We don't get a lot of them, but we do get some.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'd highlight it just to show people.
I haven't read the comments yet. I saw one by who's it, Aussie Girl.
I haven't
don't
read
Mel,
them.
please.
I saw them.
It's already sold, so no, that's
Yeah.
fine. This one,
We found a home for.
yeah, and yeah,
In
almost
fact, I think
very
we found a
recent.
couple of homes
Yeah,
for.
a couple of homes for, but yeah, so that one is sold and that one is saved, so that's good.
Yeah. We do. I don't think I've ever successfully melted one yet. I think we've always found a home. Even one we had in a little while ago, which was a 10 ounce, because getting someone to cough up 50 grand.
You're talking about 2.5 ounce being
Yeah.
difficult to, yeah.
So
10 ounce.
we'll always try our darndest to find a good home for these older vintage bars. And I have to say, it's breaking my heart that I didn't pick it up, but the old cash flow at the moment,
Yeah.
refitting shops and things, it's not allowing that level of investment. But yeah, beautiful bars, beautiful character, and a section of Australian history that doesn't get a lot of light and really should get a lot more. And I'd love to see... we've really got to reach out to Kim again and see if we can get that book reprinted, because it's an amazing book.
Yeah, someone was asking about a second edition.
Yeah, we've got to do it. It's such an incredible book. The amount of work that he put into it. And I think, what are we selling for? About $80?
95.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's on the cheap
about,
side.
like,
They were
GC.
selling for quite a bit
But
more
even
as
that,
well.
like, there is no way on earth
Proper
that he's covering...
hardcover,
He's not covering costs on that. When
It's
you
a
take,
labor. It really is a labour of love, especially
Yeah.
anyone that's seen it. You couldn't disagree with that.
So yeah, absolutely an amazing piece of work and an amazing bar as well. So
The thing I like about it as well is because of producing that book, he's had people come up to him and say, and almost then provide him with far more information, and it's kind of made it the center of the information. And so any future editions we will find will have updated, segments on, like I've been told that there are this many more out there of this bar, or I got some better photos of this one, or whatever it might be. So it becomes a bit of a community effort, and it's really cool to see.
And it's interesting because I met some customers at the Stackers meet, and they're starting to collect, especially this one gentleman, into vintage bars that he got into through the book as well. And I've talked to quite a few customers that picked up the book just because it was a beautiful book and nice, interesting conversation piece for the home. And now they're actively searching for vintage bars.
Yeah.
But it's also good because now I've got a lot of their details. So anything they buy, then we can supplement, we can pass on the details they're happy to with Kim. And he can use those photos in an updated version as well. So yeah, we've definitely got to give him a buzz.
I had
Stephen
to-
recommending a soft cover, smaller version to have around, just as a quick, handy reference.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's actually
Although
a good idea, yeah.
it is, but
But
the
not
other,
for me. But yeah, I'm the old.
the other part of me
hard bait.
says it wouldn't do it justice, because you need those. That's like some of the photos that he's got in there are just.
And it's like, how can so that book does to other people what what's that Top Gear did for non-car enthusiasts. You just
that's right.
enjoy. You can enjoy it without being fully into it. But it's can't say enough good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's good. I had to have a bit of a chuckle though last time I was over in Perth. I was talking to some of the guys over there, and somebody pulled out Kim's book to work out the history of Perth Mint, like some of the questions. They're going, hang on a sec. Oh, yeah, it's this. I'm thinking, hey, good on you. You work for the company and you don't know its history. So, yeah, that made me chuckle a bit. But, yeah, good stuff. All right, let's move on. I think we've banged on about that a little bit too much.
Kind of a bit of a follow up to the show and tell segment there. Someone saying we should keep that. We had a message through on Facebook saying, can some of the other staff on the stream and ask them how they got into Bullion, what they like to stack, and also, do a bit of a show and tell segment. There's also a shout out to Oscar as well.
Believe it or not, a lot of our staff don't like getting in front of a camera. I mean, there's only 2 of the 3 people in this room are prepared to get in front of a camera. Never mind the rest of the staff. So it's hard work getting them in front of a camera. So, yes. And we obviously respect their desire for privacy. So as much as I think that would be fantastic.
Maybe we drag Andrew on for...
Andrew has been on before, and Con has been on before. We've had Oscar in front of a camera a while back, but he hasn't certainly volunteered recently. We're...
What about the show and tell aspect then? Maybe more than the appearing on camera to talk about things. It can be hey, this is from someone at Bullion Now's stack. Yeah,
look, I
think I was thinking about that and reading the comments as well, and I think they'll make a nice like not a live part of the live stream, maybe cover a little bit, but like a separate video.
We could go a la backyard and just have a pair of hands there.
Yeah. And just, show favourite pieces. And
these are the hands of a worker from Bullion Now. Notice their soft suppleness and no blisters.
Oh, you'll know that's Brett.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, dear. The company manicure obviously works.
Aussie Drop Bear. Shipping paid for a week ago, but still no advice on shipping. How long does the shipping notice take? If I previously sent ID, do I need to send it again?
No, you shouldn't need to. I'm slightly concerned if you paid for shipping a week ago and it hasn't gone out. I know we did have a bit of trouble a couple of weeks ago. We spoke about it on camera that we'd managed to get ourselves into a bit of a tiz, and we were several thousand dispatches behind, but we're well and truly caught up now. There are a couple of outliers due to, stock damage and that sort of stuff that we're trying to replace. But I would have thought, Aussie, if you'd paid for shipping a week ago, it should be on its way out. If you could drop us a line,
I'm going to send, I'll respond to you in the chat and just email me your order number, and I'll chase it up after the stream.
Yeah, we'll chase it up and find out what's going on.
There was someone, I think we spoke about this maybe last week, but there was someone, I think, in store asking as well to do a bit of an update with Andrew in regards to the spot price,
yes.
guess / conversation for the future. I think he was, I did bring it up to Andrew as well, and I think he was a little bit more open to it than he was at the start of the year, so... Maybe it might be something we do. I think particularly because I think a lot of his guesses were correct. I think he was the one predicting the $50 silver kind of within the time frame, and it's well and truly happened.
I think his gold call was actually, like at the time I thought, man, you're really pushing the boat out. But I think, I was going to say I think he's fairly accurate. I think gold's run harder than what even Andrew expected. But I was kind of going. Yeah. You can't be real. You can't think it's really going to go to that in 12 months, can you? And, he was certainly more right than I was.
Dear. What have we got coming out, Michael? We've got, I don't know, we can talk about the 10-ounce bars we've got coming.
The Canadians have arrived.
Yes. So I have been pushing for those for quite a long time, so I'm hoping the sales of those go well, because otherwise our stock guy is going to say, this is why I didn't get them in. But I've been hanging out for the 10-ounce Canadian minted bars
Ruben's
for quite
appealing.
a while.
Please buy the Canadian 10-ounce bars. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, but he's been appealing a lot I've been appealing a lot longer for the Palladium Maples, I believe. I think it makes 4 years now.
It'll be about the same amount of time, mate. It'd be about the same amount of time.
Yeah. They're a beautiful bar, though. I've got to say, the Canadians really know how to make a 10-ounce bar.
But speaking of upcoming, and I'm possibly finally getting some traction in getting some maybe palladium, fractional palladium in.
1 gram.
1 gram's better than no gram.
Yeah, I think 1 gram's amazing. The premium on them is... Yeah. I would have thought extortionate normally, but these ones, I think we've actually got them at a good price. Yeah, let's see once they land. But I think they're pretty good.
Capsules on the 10-ounce bars. This has been a topic for just every single release we seem to do at the moment is capsules on
10 ouncer.
On 10 ounces or just the larger
Which
bars
10
in general.
ounces?
Well,
because the variations are so...
Yeah.
This is the problem.
The variations are so varied. Because there's no standard... I mean, you can get generally standard size, but there's so much variation in the 10 ounce.
We had the stackers meeting, and the person watching will know who they were, but I had someone basically say, you know, they almost just would not bother picking one of them up unless they were able to get a capsule for it. It wasn't worth the potential for spotting, toning, anything like that. They wanted to be able to hold it, and they didn't trust the soft plastics.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things at play there. One is there is the soft plastic, and the soft plastic does take a lot of wear and tear, although it will go brittle eventually. But yeah, the soft plastic's still pretty good. The other is, and it's the permanent problem with coins and with bars, every flamin' mint produces them at a different size. Yeah. And you just, when you're buying capsules, you don't buy, if we're buying capsules to sell, you don't just buy one capsule. You're buying 10,000, 15, 20,000 of them at a time. So to order that many capsules, get them in, start using them, and then find out that they only fit, in this example, the Royal Canadian Mint 10-ounce minted bar. It's like, well, for crying out loud, now I've got to import 10,000 of these suckers to make it worthwhile. And it's just doesn't... it's just a challenge, that's all.
Is there... Because, I mean, a few of them have been from the overseas mints. Like, this is typically where it is. Would there ever be a market where it's like, okay, yeah, we can get them in... We can almost have two listings. We can have the soft plastic and one that we're paying extra for, but a cost to be then passed on to the customers to say, hey, yeah, this is this one in a capsule. The person I was speaking to said they'd pay up to almost $20 for a capsule for one of these.
Look, as would I. However, I'm going to say there's always a possibility. But not before Pakenham opens up, because there's no more slowing down.
Funnily enough, I've actually got a meeting, I think it's next week or the week after, with a capsule distributor to look at bringing in some of those things. But so it will happen. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. But like I said, it's not as simple as we're making out. You don't just go, I need 50 of these, because, like I said, you have to buy them by the 10,000, and you have to get the size exactly right. And some of the distributors, the dimensions are on the outside of the capsule. Some of them, they're on the inside of the capsule. And some of them you'll say it's, I mean, the Eagle, the 40 mil coin capsule is the one that always stresses me out, because there's two sizes that you buy. There's 40 mil capsules and 40.1 mil capsules, because a 40 mil capsule won't fit an Eagle in, but the 40.1 will. So it even comes down to, those, we're talking 0.1 of a mil on a capsule, and that can make a huge amount of difference. So it's not just as simple as, get me a capsule that fits a 10 ounce minted bar, because it depends on which brand, depends on the size and all that sort of stuff. And no one wants, I could bring in a capsule that was oversized, but no one wants a capsule where the thing inside rattles around. So it's there's so many computations and combinations in there.
And Raymond says, I collect 10-ounce bars, and the variation is astounding on sizes, and that's one of the problems.
I think the problem with the completers was that the Royal Mint were distributing them with capsules, and so it's clear that they're out there. Someone was manufacturing them specifically for it, and depending on where you bought it, that's it. You could have actually got one with it, but the ones that were sending out internationally and to dealers didn't have them, and so it's just not... Yeah.
It's and look, you've got to know where they're getting them from, because they will be designing them specifically for that. And quite often, different refineries or different production facilities won't tell you where they're getting their capsules from, and they won't supply
bit of a
them.
hush-hush.
Yeah, it is. And look, the problem is, and I'm going back to my complaint about sizing, quite often within the same company, like... The Canadians don't tend to do this that I can think of off the top of my head, but I know some of the other distributors or manufacturers, they actually produce different sizes of the same weight bar, so that you can line up 2 or 3 10-ounce bars from XYZ company, and they will be different sizes, marginally different sizes. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me here.
I love to collect 10-ounce bars and coins. And the only one that's in the capsule is the Beska bar, the 10-ounce Beska bar.
Yeah.
And it is glorious.
Yeah.
I have to say, and after all these years, so I understand the want and the desire for it. So what you said about the meeting, that sounds promising. And on that note, I was going to ask, was it 1 kilo coin stands as well?
That's been on the cards for
I'd forgotten
years.
about that.
I haven't,
honest.
and I'm just, so, just, I don't know if they have anything to do with that, but that's a bit of a reminder.
Yeah, something to ask about for sure. We've got we've got some hopefully exciting developments for the Melbourne shop over the weekend as well. I believe the builders are making some progress.
It is.
Potentially
The
knocking
wall
off
comes down.
the wall knocking down between what was the old shop and where we've kind of moved. It's still the same place. Don't worry, you still come to the same spot in
Takes
Melbourne.
you back though, doesn't it? You know, the wall coming down. It's the
Yes, it
second
does.
time in history the wall's coming down.
I did see someone saying about Trump putting the wall up and then us taking it down versus obviously the
The
Berlin Wall.
reunification between
East and West.
East and West BN workers,
That's right.
But so those that have been coming into the shop over the last couple of weeks, we'll hopefully see some changes early next week. Where are we up to, Michael? Both with updates for Pakenham and Melbourne. Have we got? I know we're all kind of scared of mentioning specific dates and times. I saw someone comment on the video we did over a year ago now about you.
Any minute now.
Yeah, you said Pakenham coming soon, and I think they were going. It's kind of been a while. I know we're a little bit scared necessarily of saying specific dates, but people are after an update. Whereabouts are we at with both of them?
So Pakenham is pretty much ready to go. We could actually launch that one almost any time. There's a few things that we need to tidy up down there to make it look better, but basically we're good to go. And we're not going yet before everyone gets excited, because we're going to try and get Melbourne under control at a similar time. Melbourne is probably still a couple of weeks away. Like we've just been joking about, the wall does come down between the old shop and the new shop this weekend. And then that's basically, I think that's the last of the destruction. I think we've got everything else sorted out at that point. So then it's just a case of putting everything back together. And Jeremy's doing an amazing job of that. And he will move progressively quicker. So
I did wonder if we should get him in for an interview on the stream.
If you can convince him to get on camera, you're doing a better job than I am. I suspect 3 weeks. Like if someone was trying to pin me to a timeline, I suspect 3 to 4 weeks, all going well, we should have pretty much finished the Melbourne shop area. We are, for those that have been in the shop, will know that we're actually pushing into next door as well.
Yeah, double next door.
Yeah, that's right. So we've actually
The
taken
floor
out
is
that
slowly
whole
becoming
side.
ours.
But that's going to be offices, and we're actually we're probably not going to fit that out for a bit longer yet. So we want to focus on particularly Melbourne and Pakenham, closely followed by probably Sydney, Brisbane, Perth,
Florida.
Yeah, and Florida. Yeah, that's right. So hopefully by the end of the year,
I'm moving from Texas BN store to Florida now. So I have to mention, I just saw Sierra Charlie's comment. Is there a walls coming down to open sale?
Well, I think we should do something like that. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. So look, hopefully within a month or so, we'll see Melbourne pretty much finished, and a similar sort of time frame for Pakenham getting up and firing. So that would be really, really, really good. Oh, here we go. Another poll. What have I done this time?
I want to know which people are more keen for. And I deliberately haven't done a both or neither, because I just wanted to be a pure head-to-head between Melbourne and Pakenham.
I reckon it's going to be pretty much a straight 50-50.
You know what? I'm voting Pakenham, just because then I can have people stop asking me about Pakenham. So that's more of a mental health thing for myself.
It's near enough to 50-50.
where we sell parts of the wall, like the Berlin Wall.
Excellent idea.
We've been silly. We've been throwing it
Yeah,
away.
that's right.
Wow.
I took a skip out of it this morning.
I'm going back to the skip and sending it to NGC and PCGS.
We'll get some graded.
Yeah, if you say BN with the right accent, you can almost the BN Wall.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. So Melbourne, the refit's coming up more popular there.
A little bit.
That's not
It's pretty
heaps,
close.
but-
It's pretty close.
Pretty
Yeah.
close.
And are we still committing to some kind of opening night / event at Pakenham? Is
Yes,
that still?
we will do an opening of Pakenham.
Yep.
We might even do one of Melbourne as well, I suspect. But we'll do a soft opening first, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
An official
yeah,
event.
then we'll do a bit of a song and dance. What I'd really like to do is later on this year is have a bit of an investor night. Probably at both places, but particularly out at Pakenham because we've got the space out there. We can push out a little bit and have an investor night. Bring in maybe some special guests. I don't know. It's still
Second edition book signing.
Yeah, maybe.
be great.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to do. And if we can tie it in with the opening in Sydney and Brisbane as well, that'd be great.
Florida.
I'm just trying to stress Ruben out a little.
No,
It's
no,
water
you're
off
gonna
a duck's
stress-
back at this point.
you got to stress more Sean and Sylvia with the phone. So, sorry, I heard there's a store opening up there's a pop-up store in Darwin. I saw.
Yeah, we're still we're thinking about that.
Yeah.
What we should
I
do
really
is,
like the pop-up store idea.
I think we should do a live like a real poll where you phone in and actually give your opinion as to
Please
where the
don't
next
make
store
this
should
joke. Please. The phone team has made a express comment for you to stop doing exactly this.
So just a reminder, the complaints email is michael@bullionnow.com.au.
Yeah. No, we shouldn't give our phone in team a hard time. They do an amazing job down there.
The thing we kind of came stuck on last time, and I see a few people putting some recommendations there. The thing we got a little bit stuck on last time was exactly who to bring in for a night like that. We kind of wanted someone that would be kind of almost known to a non-stacking crowd because we were originally kind of pitching an event that was going to be to people that may not have heard of silver or gold as an investment kind of possibility before, and so we didn't want someone that was going to be just super laser focused on you must be stacking gold and silver kind of thing, because it's kind of it might not draw in those kind of people, and so if you've got any recommendations on who we should get in for an investors meeting like that, I don't know. Would you want to pitch it kind of how we were last time to a more beginner friendly crowd, or would you want it to be, because it's more of the opening? Are you picturing more of a BN existing customer event?
No, a bit of both. I think we can cater to both. I've actually got an idea of who to bring in. I'm happy to run past you off camera. I'm not going to do it on camera at this
Nathy
point.
Boy reckons you're your favourite treasurer.
I was going to suggest that.
Muppet. Oh dear, yes.
Oh dear. Laurie Williams reckons it's quick question time. Are we getting to
must
that
be getting
already?
close.
Getting
It's
354.
almost 5 to.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah,
Mate, if we do it this soon, we won't have a chance to run over time.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's 6 minutes to midnight in some places where viewers are watching live.
It is.
Yeah.
well, it's what happens when we actually start on time. We don't actually have to run quite as late.
Yes.
Question from Keith: will there be a Perth Mint tour this year for the Lunar Horse release? It's kind of scaring me how fast that's coming up. I remember someone recently asked a question about Lunar. And I was like, "Oh, come on, why are you asking already?" And I'm like, "Oh, actually."
Yeah, well, end of next month, they stop producing basically any of the 2025 Lunars. Production will stop and they will fire up the 2026 production. So we are getting very close now. And just on that, I'll come back to that in a second, Bullion Dog. Just on that one, and yeah, I'm a bullion dealer, take all that crap out. I get it. But if you are looking for things to complete your set that are 2025 Lunar, you need to get them sooner rather than later, because they are starting to wind down stocks now. There are certain sizes and things like that we can't get anymore. And they will be, and Perth Mint particularly is starting to advise that actually these probably won't come back into stock again. So If you need something to complete your set, get it sooner rather than later, because fairly soon it will start entering the collector market, and you'll only be able to source it from collectors around the community. So just a bit of a heads up, so no one cries in a month's time going, "Oh, but you didn't tell me." This is your warning.
You wanted to highlight Bullion Dogs. Could there be a cheaper postage option, like standard Oz post bag for smaller orders, say under $500? $17.50 each time kills me.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things. This is, I should have picked up on this one earlier, because I know you did ask it a bit earlier, mate. This one's a difficult one for a couple of different reasons. One is we can't send bullion via Australia Post. It cracks me up. I can send a kilo gold coin in Australia Post, but I can't send a 1 ounce silver bar in there. They won't accept it. They'll only accept coins in there. So the cheaper options that you can get from the likes of AusPost aren't available to bullion dealers. You can't send bullion that way. So it limits us quite a bit as to what we can do with this sort of stuff. The other thing we have to be very, very careful of using cheaper postage is that quite often it's not tracked and not signature on delivery and all these types of things.
And we have enough problems with the ones that are tracked and signature on delivery.
Yeah.
Someone was mentioning before about such an example.
Yeah, so, while you go, well, it's only $500 or it's only $400, I'm only going to pay, for example, if we could, I don't think we could do this, but let's say we could get away with $8 postage for it. You're still going to be upset if your $400 worth of bullion with your $8 postage doesn't show up. You're going to expect us to be able to insure it and replace it, quite rightly. So, like those cheaper options just aren't really a viable option for us. We're not just sending something that's very cheap in the post, a dollar trinket or something like that, where there's enough margin in there that we can just replace it. There's very little margin on these things. So, to get insurance to cover it drives the price up. To get proper tracking on it drives the price up. We can't use Australia Post in a vast majority of cases, so it drives the price up. There's all these things. Believe it or not, the $17.50, we're actually making a loss on that. And it's something that when the financial year clicks over, I'm going to have to review our postage charges and put them up, because we've been at $17.50 for several years now. We've absorbed the cost of every 6 months, AusPost put their prices up. It feels like more frequently than that, but I'm sure it's somewhere in about 6 months. They put their prices up, and we've absorbed the last half a dozen increases, and it's gotten to a point now where I know we're making a loss with them, and we need to start
Did you say
ratcheting it up.
AusPost for that? Because
I probably did say AusPost, but I was actually meaning toll as well.
yeah, that's right. We were just talking about how we couldn't send it through them. So
Look, we do use a small amount of our stuff does go out through AusPost, because in some ways they are better, because in a lot of cases, it doesn't enter the letterbox system. You can send it to the post office itself, so it never kind of gets out into the wild. So quite often, AusPost is actually the safer way to send things. But there's only, as I said before, there's very few things that we can actually send out through Australia Post. So it's a pain in the neck. I feel your pain. I hate paying for postage. We are always looking for ways to send it cheaper, but we have to make sure that we're sending it securely and safely, both for the protection of the item, but also for the protection of you. The last thing you want is some dodgy courier service rolling up and saying, "Oh, here's your gold bar," or something like that, and now all your neighbours know what you're collecting and that sort of stuff. So it's just not as simple as sending a letter, unfortunately.
Let's kick into some rapid fire, I think. So if there's a question you wanted answered that we haven't got to previously in the stream, send it through now. We will endeavour to hit as many questions as we can. Any news on the new Germania UK Mint Thor bar?
They're ordered. They're on their way. That's as far as I can go at the moment.
Should I keep my Germania Mint cast silver in their plastic and box? Someone was worried about low amounts of PVC in the plastic.
Personally, I do. But
yeah. I think the other things that it's going to be exposed to are probably more of a risk.
Any chance of getting Geiger products shipped in?
Yes.
Let me catch up to where you
Premium
were.
on Geigers at the moment is through the roof.
When will the 10-ounce Canadian mint bars be up on the website, and with what premium?
Rubes?
I'm ready to go. It's whenever we're launching.
Oh, okay. I'll talk to ads. We should be able to do it pretty much straight away. So sometime before Tuesday.
Bullion Now Prime, annual fee but free shipping.
Look, I play around with these ideas semi-frequently. Somebody said free post over $5,000, I think was another one. Yeah, look, we visit these frequently. The problem, and I know this is rapid fire, the problem is that once you start going, when you start increasing the weight of things, which is usually what increases the dollar value, the cost of freight goes up exponentially. It doesn't go up linearly. Quite often it increases by far more, and they start looking at it's cheap if you're sending it from Melbourne CBD to Sydney CBD, but if you're out in the burbs or heaven forbid you're out in the country somewhere, once you go over that 5 kilos particularly, the price just rapidly increases. Ozpost is the great example where they say, a parcel up to 5 kilos is, I can't think what it is off the top of my head, but let's say it's $20. Doesn't matter where you send it around Australia, it's $20. And when you go to 5.1 kilos, it doesn't go up much when I'm sending it to Sydney, but if I'm sending it
WA
to WA or heaven forbid outback Queensland or the Northern Territory, it'll go from $20 to $120, even though you've only gone 100 grams over. It's craziness.
Can XRF detect tungsten?
It can, but it doesn't like doing it.
What's being released next week?
The Canadian bars. Help me, Ruben.
I'm not sure what else we've got lined up, to be honest. There's
Perth
a
Mint,
little coin shop.
Yep, little coin shop's got a Perth Mint numismatic release on Tuesday, I believe. So look out for that one on the Little Coin Shop channel. So Little Coin Shop, what would it be? youtube.com/Little Coin Shop. Head over to there and you'll see their new release. I really like this one. This month's is great. What else have we got releasing? There are many other things being released. I just can't think of what they are.
I'm new to stacking, and my first order was from a firm in Queensland, and they stung me really hard. Your prices are great.
Oh, thank you.
Should I combine Vegemite and cheese in a toasted sandwich?
Ugh.
Never.
Vegemite belongs on axles. That's about it.
Un-Australian, the two of you. I'm going to say yes. I want to start collecting. What's the first thing I should get? Non-financial advice.
Bullion Now's phone number and website.
You know what?
I'm going to say the Legendary Warriors based on
I'll just
my
say,
review of them.
If you're just about to start, get something that you really like.
Yeah, because you're going to look back and go, this is my first. Yeah,
exactly. Don't just get whatever. Get something that really catches the eye, that maybe has a bit of meaning to you, and then just go from there.
Michael, did you know they put titanium oxide in M&Ms and Skittles to get the bright and shiny colours?
I did not.
We're not getting involved in New South Wales, Queensland sports. That's a battle that goes.
But Melbourne, yeah.
Go the Hawks.
Will the SpongeBob bars be popular? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about them.
Oh man, we got into a heated debate
I don't know if we can
around the office.
I don't know if we can talk.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, we can't show pictures obviously, but Perth Mint's releasing a SpongeBob 1 gram minted gold bar, and I think it looks the bee's knees. The only problem is it incurs GST, so it pushes the premium right up. But I think they're going to be popular.
For our Australian customers, anyone overseas would not have to pay that 10%.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll pack them open before silver hits $50 US per ounce.
I hope so.
Is the copper value in the old 1 and 2 cent coins worth more than 1 cent or 2 cents?
I don't think so yet, but I think it's close.
Unless you're getting the 1 and 2 cent copper coins that have been turned into the Sydney 2000 Olympic bronze medals. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, my friend had a hand in designing that, so yeah.
I've heard rumours that there'll be a second gold Wonka bar. Have you heard this?
Yes, I have heard this.
I have heard this rumour.
Favourite plane, Michael?
Oh, where to start? I have so many favourite planes.
This is a quick question. Never asked this.
That's right.
At the end of the stream.
Citabria is one of my favourite planes because it's so underpowered. If you do a nice manoeuvre, it's because you did it, not because it pulls you through like a pits. You can sneeze and barrel roll in that thing.
I have 3 buyback 1 ounce gold coins pre-ordered. When probably will the order be fulfilled? Thanks. We don't normally do pre-orders on buybacks for that very reason.
Yeah. I don't know what's happened there. Oh, you've probably done it in store. That might be the reason.
But even I'd say it's not something we can do, and maybe I need to update that.
There's no reason we can't do it, just as long as you're aware that it might take a little while to fill it.
Yeah, exactly.
We could probably. There's been a number of buyback gold coins come in today, so I would assume we'd fill it fairly quick.
When is that SpongeBob 1 gram gold bar going to be released?
Next month.
Tony's commenting about cameras in the background from China, I think, in reference to the Shanghai photo from before. I think they're watching a little bit delayed. So hi, Tony, in the future when you catch up to this bit.
Okay. I want to wind that SpongeBob back one a little bit. The SpongeBob Gold Bar is actually released on Tuesday, but they won't actually be available to buy. Well, you could probably pre-order, I suppose, but you won't be able to take delivery of them until mid-June.
2-ounce Legendary Warriors, do you think it will happen?
No, unfortunately. I'd love it to, but I don't think so.
Any flight school recommendations near the Gold Coast?
Not online, no.
Maybe
off camera.
When are you coming to Brisbane?
I actually have no clue.
Gaza, theirs guys are making it up as they go along. Could be these guys. Yeah, we tend to.
Yeah. Absolutely we are. There is no doubt about that at all.
If a pop-up store in Darwin, can you swing past Alice Springs?
Yes. It's kind of on the way.
Couriers check identification. Had one ring and tell me they were dropping the delivery on the porch. No thanks. Drop it at the post office.
I just...
Again, be an armed courier service.
Yeah, but how do we do... practically, how do we do that? Am I going to have some guy driving around Australia delivering?
You can, yeah.
You know, the guy that's just ordered in Dubbo. How do I get it to him through the Bullion Now courier service?
Okay, well, how's your plane going?
Yeah, my plane's going just fine, but I thought you reckon $1,750 is expensive for delivery. You should see what I'd have to charge on my plane.
2025 Bullion Now Australia tour.
That would be great.
Yeah, might have to push it into 2026 at the rate we're going, but yeah.
When are we going to have a Friday night drinks for Melbourne Bullion Now customers?
I think that would be great. I was thinking that a couple of weekends ago.
That would be great and much needed with each Friday that we, we get under our belt.
Alrighty, and I think we're getting to the end there. So thank you very much, everyone. Is there one you're eyeing off there that you want to hit, Michael?
I was just scanning the last one.
No, it's all good.
Is that it?
We're done.
I just want to two things. One is a big thank you to everyone that attended and said hi at the Stackers meet. That was on this Sunday, so it happens every 3 months in Melbourne. Thank you for everyone that I spoke to. And also I just want to do a shout out and thank you to the Metal Inquisitor for popping by this week.
Yeah. Look, if you're in store, wandering past, we really love it when people just stop in and say, hey, I'm, XYZ. Even if you don't comment on there, just knowing that you're tuning in and listening. Sometimes, and I say this frequently, you can really feel like you're yelling into an echo chamber some days. So it's really good to have people come up and say, look, actually, I listened last week, or I listen semi-frequently, or I listen occasionally, whatever it is. And we're not frightened of also saying, look, I really think you should, why don't you try this? I think this would work. Or why don't you try that? Or, we're always open to suggestions. So, let us know when you're dropping by that you watch and you tune in.
Absolutely. And apologies for any questions that we may not have gotten to, because sometimes it's difficult, especially with so many commentating. And then we're stuck on one topic for, say, a few minutes. And then next time you look at the chat, it's already way down. So they're all being read. I do go back through them at the end over the weekend. So if there's anything important, I will follow up with that.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for tuning in. As we say every week, this would be nothing without you guys. So we really, really, really do appreciate you taking the time out to either watch us live on Friday, 2:30 to whenever they can shut us up, or over the weekend or into next week, or even sometime in the future. Just thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and to comment where you can. And if you're too shy to comment, just the fact that you're there means a lot to us. We will be back next week with all the shenanigans that goes on at Bullion Now, including more changes in the shop, more releases, more chaos, more good fun, and some of the best bullion that you will find anywhere in the world. You going to be here next week, mate?
I don't want to jinx myself, so I'll just do this.
We hope so. Are you turning up, Rubes?
We'll be here.
All right, so we will see you 2:30 Melbourne time next week.
See ya.
Have a great weekend.